How do you fight all of the digital clutter that is going on today in the business world? Well, really, and even social media, because if you're on Facebook and you're trying to be there for the personal life, things just keep popping up. So there is so much clutter in every part of our lives digitally. So, how do you fight that? Stick around. We are going to talk with Vicky Winkler in just a minute. But first, I am the host of the Oh, Yes, I Can Women in Business podcast and the founder of the group as well. So, welcome, hit notifications, subscribe, share, comment, all of the things. And let's move to Vicky and get going. Vicky Winkler, hello.
Hello, Tracy.
Vicky and I love each other. We do some collaborating together. I help people with public speaking, and Vicky helps people with marketing. So we got a great, perfect fit. But Vicky, let the audience know who you are, what you do.
Well, thank you. And Tracy, I'm so happy to be here. You're just like one of my favorite people. And so I was just so excited to do this. I do other podcasts but I was just so happy to be able
Yeah,
to be on yours.
no.
So Vicky Winkler, the marketing shop, I've had my business for a little over 22 years and we do marketing. I always say we make marketing easy. We're a marketing execution team. We do graphic design, we do printing, we do branding, we do social media management, we do email marketing, direct mail. So basically, we're helping people that and business owners that just really kind of want to take that off their plate. They're kind of maybe tired of it not looking right, it being too difficult. That and certain that they're trying to DIY things, and it's just not the way that they want it to work. And so we can take that burden off, and me and my team, we can make it easy for you to do marketing.
Okay, here's why I love that. So Vicky had collaborated on another workshop, not with me this time, and she had a guest come on, and he really challenged us to think about our marketing and the way that we do it. And it's something that I kind of had been thinking about anyhow. And then he really put some kind of lit a fire under me. And so I asked Vicky, hey, can you do this or that? And it really didn't matter kind of what we brainstormed, Vicky had it. So I would say to you that if you want to get creative with your marketing, check with Vicky because more than likely she is going to be able to help you do that crazy thing that you have in your head. So that is one of the huge things that sets Vicky apart from so many people that help with marketing. So, okay. So Vicky, I know that you have a story to what took you to starting your own company those 20, 22 years ago. Why don't you just kind of walk us through how you got from where you were to where you started your company? And then, by the way, everybody stick around to the end because Vicky is going to give us some tips on marketing. So, okay. All right. So take us through where you were, what your journey was to get you to the marketing shop.
Yeah. I don't want to start with I was born, but you know, back into my career. So I had started at General Motors. I was working for Saturn Corporation, and I was there for 11 years. It was great. You know, the startup marketing team for the Saturn car. It was very exciting. But at some point, I just I was doing things like volunteer work, working with the Special Olympics, and I thought, there's just more I want to do with my life than work for an auto company. And I honestly didn't even really, I wasn't into cars. And so I'm like, I'm just not in the right place. And so I sold my house. I left my job and I joined the Peace Corps. And I was in Nicaragua and I came back from there and I was really impassioned to do something again, something more with my career that I could help others. And so I went and I worked for a nonprofit organization working with adults with disabilities and vocational rehabilitation. And that was amazing. And that really got me thinking, I can do marketing, but I can do something more where I'm really impacting lives. And so when I left there, I formed the marketing shop. And one of my goals was to work with nonprofit organizations. We work with for profit as well, but we work with a lot of large nonprofit organizations. Just helping them with their marketing, helping them to get the word out, get more exposure, and make more impact. So that's something that me and my team we really feel strongly about is making a difference in the world.
And I know that so many times everybody talks about story. What's your story? Tell your story, all of those kinds of things. And, again, as somebody who helps people with public speaking, of course, I want to know what that story is and how to get it out. But I can imagine that that might be one of the conversations that you get into, again, whether it's for a nonprofit or a for profit company. What if I were just to contact you and say, "Hey, tell me how we can work together, what's going on, what's the situation?" What are some of the questions you would ask me if I were brand new to you?
Um, so I guess I usually ask kind of where you're at. Like what brought you to this point that you said, "Oh, I need to talk to someone like the marketing shop." To kind of gauge, what's going on, what's going on in the company. Do you need to, make more money? Do you want to bring in more clients? Do you want to change your client base? And then the next thing we start talking about is who is your target audience? It seems so basic, but I'm also an adjunct professor of marketing at a community college. And so, I'm always kind of like reminded of that going back to the basics. It's like, who are we talking to? What's that persona? And I will challenge my like a new client to let's really make a visual of who that client is, that and you'll have more than one ideal client, but that persona and developing like what is it about? Is it a he or a she? What do they do? What are their hobbies? How old are they? So that you can really kind of get this picture in your mind and then use that as a person as that kind of marketing to that person. Now you're going to be marketing to a bunch of other people too. But just to kind of have that visual
Mm.
is really helpful in just kind of having that focus for your marketing efforts.
Okay, I like that you say you will have more than one because so many times business coaches coach entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, the small mom and pop shop. Oh, niche down, whatever you want to call it. And you have that one perfect fit, that one right fit, that one avatar, that one whatever. And so many times people think, "No, but I really have more than that one." So I like that you talk about you can have more than one perfect client for you. And so you can build that profile. Oh, and now let's build a profile for
Yeah.
this one. And now let's build a profile for this one. So I
Yeah.
really like that you pointed that out because sometimes that goes against what other people would coach or mentor
Yeah.
someone. And I've always thought, I feel like that's limiting on where you could really market. So I like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, and I think that, there's definitely differing opinions on that. I mean, and I have seen people do really well when they niche down to one target. And we know when you have really limited resources or just, I mean, it really can allow you to really focus and narrow down. But then sometimes what happens is the market changes and that all of a sudden that target audience is either less receptive to what you're offering or just there's other challenges that come up and all of a sudden you're kind of tied into one.
Right.
I just experienced this on a phone call today that I had with somebody that was very focused on one industry in the service that they provided, and AI has kind of completely blown it up. And they said that they just lost 50% of their business because there was one client that they had that was 52% of their revenue, gave them
Wow.
2 days notice and cut them out. And so you have to be, I mean, and as business owners, we can pick ourselves up from our bootstraps and do it again and figure it
Right.
out. And there's always, I always say there's always a plan B. There's always other options. There's a plan C, there's a plan D, whatever it takes. Dig in and you can figure it out. So it goes both ways. I personally don't feel that we should niche down to only one target audience.
Mm.
I don't think we should have like, who's your market? Oh, it's everybody who
Right.
just can
Right.
fog a mirror. Well, no,
Right.
that's not quite. I mean, we need to niche down a little bit.
Yeah.
But I don't think that we should be so limiting.
Right. And I happen to know because we've had conversations that when you are having multiple right fit target audiences, then you change that message. So I'm just going to kind of give a tip that I've learned from you. And actually, I already knew it from when I was in the nonprofit world because I director of advancement, private pre-K through 12 school, and I knew you did not have the same messages going out to the parents that you did to the staff, that you did to the volunteers, that you did to the community. It was a different thing each time. And
Yeah.
so because of my experience, I already knew that, but here is just a tip, and you haven't even started talking about your tip. Change the message from audience to audience to audience, if that makes
Yeah.
sense. Do you have
Yeah.
anything to add to that?
Well, I do, and I'll give the first tip. Is that if you are doing, for example, any type of marketing, but let's just take email marketing as an example. In your database, do not send the same message to everyone. If so, I have 3,500 contacts, I think, in my HubSpot, and never do we send out the same message to everyone. There's never an email that goes out to everyone. Um, and so we segment, and we have probably 30 different segments, and some of those segments are very small. But if
Mm,
we're going to send a message, it's going to speak right to them. So this is a great example. I had a client come to us recently, and they do lawn and landscaping. And they said, "Oh, well, we have about 3,000 people on our mailing list," and it was great. They sent me it, and they had 3,000 contacts. And as I started to look through the list, I saw some businesses, and then I saw some just individual names. And I said, "Well, now it looks like we have both businesses and residential in here." And they were like, "Well, yeah, we do." I mean, they had never utilized this list, which is it just fortunately they came to me at the point that they did because they had this 20 years old list in QuickBooks, and they had 3,000 names on it. They'd never utilized it. And so, but I said, let's do the best we can to break this down into business versus residential, because the message is very different. We might do fall cleanup message to
yeah.
the residential, but the businesses are they might be thinking fall cleanup as well, but it's a different angle. They have different pain points, and they're thinking their day-to-day life looks very different from a residential versus a
Mhm.
commercial. And so, and that's one of the things we do in the persona is we think about a day in the life, and we go through what does Traci Poe, what does her daily life look like? What does she do in a single day versus someone else in a completely different business? And when you really think about it that way, you start to really discover what their pain points are, which is so important to do.
Oh, yeah, yeah, I love that. And I love that. Okay, so we started on our tips. What other tips do you have, Vicky?
Oh gosh, I mean, that's a really important. I guess that the other one would be to to try to do multi-channel marketing. So the
Mm,
whole integrated marketing. So as trying to, like, for example, we always use the cadence of, if we're going to be doing direct mail, we do direct mail, and then we will send out a message in email, and then we will have at least several social media posts during that same time. So that, and then if you can have someone who's going to actually make phone calls, that's a plus. I know that that's sometimes hard to do, but hire a VA. And what I say too is, if you've got a mailing list of 3,000 people, let's choose, if you can't afford to do it to all 3,000, let's take 250 of them, and let's mail them something. Let's send them emails. Let's have some social media posts, and let's follow up with phone calls. So if you can't it's better to do less and to do it integrated than to do more and only do one channel. And so I fell victim to this myself in my business. So we I had gone to a franchise show, because we service franchises. And so I had a brochure made up, and it was lovely. And I went to this show, and it turned out that it wasn't the right audience. And so here I was, I didn't have a booth, but I was walking the show, and I realized that the booth, the people who had the booths really didn't want to talk to me because they were trying to sell their franchises to the audience. And I was walking through trying to sell them marketing. And they're like, no, 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 we're here selling to the people walking this expo. We don't want you selling to us. So I went home with a bunch of brochures. And so I said to my team, because here I am, Miss Frugal. I said, well, I don't want these to go to waste. So why don't we do a direct mail campaign? So we got these great lists out of Entrepreneur Magazine of franchises, certain sizes. We did letters, we put the brochures in, and off we sent the mail. Did Vicky and her team do any other follow-up? Did they try to find email addresses? Did they make any phone calls? No. And this is, I should know better. And so we didn't get a single contact, a single phone call, a single email back. And as I was thinking about it, I'm like, well, of course we didn't, because we didn't use the the things that I teach, I didn't even utilize them myself. And so we shouldn't have sent that out
Mm.
at all if we weren't prepared to do some follow-up.
I love that. Okay, so you talk about multi-channel marketing. So let's just cover an example of what that could all mean. And I know you kind of named some of it while you were talking, but let's just talk through what that might look like for someone.
Yeah. So, I mean, this can even look like, for example, you and I just recently taught a workshop. And so, what did we do? Is we did social media
Yeah.
to promote it. We did email marketing.
Hmm.
We did talking, amongst sending personal messages out.
Hmm.
I even called a couple of people that I knew to invite them, and then we did follow up after.
Hmm.
And so by hitting it from the different angles, it wasn't just putting it out on social media and creating an event on LinkedIn and hoping that people
Right.
were going to sign up.
Right.
So we did multiple channels of that. So the one thing we didn't do is we didn't do direct mail, but we used a lot of the other channels. I even text a couple people. So again, trying to get to them in various ways because not everybody. I mean, we're all inundated, and so we need to see things multiple times.
Hmm. Hmm. And I like that you say multiple times, and I'll give an example. I can't remember, and I was thinking about this morning. I was doing something. I don't even remember what, honestly, at this point. But I sent it out. Oh, I remember what it was. But I sent it out one time, and I think I used Messenger for my list of, it was not a long list, it was a short list. Well, here's the deal, so many people never look at their Messenger. They just
Hmm.
don't. And then I'm like, "Well, nobody responded." Well, how do I know how many of them actually saw that message? Right? And so, following up and using the multiple channels for each individual even is huge because I'll use my email as an example. I have so many different email accounts, and I can't keep up with my emails really in any of them. Can, don't, difference. I don't keep up with my emails in any of them, but it's like sending one email and expecting someone to open it. Well, not everybody sees that email. I don't see all of my emails.
That's right.
My husband looks at it and he's like, "How do you have thousands that you haven't even looked at?" So, yeah, I'm that person. So I might not see my messenger. I might not see the email, right? I might not see that I was invited through the Facebook or the LinkedIn event that I was invited to. I might not see it. But if someone is sending me maybe 5 different ways to get in touch with me, chances are I'm going to probably see at least one of those 5.
Yeah.
So I think it's so important, what you're talking about, using multiple channels to reach the same person.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, I love it. Okay. All right. Do you have any other tips for us?
Oh gosh. Well, let's see. I think that the the one thing that I am really starting is and this is a problem for everyone is the digital marketing. And you know, people are starting to realize it's just not as effective. And so it's important to reach people other ways. And so that's why I'm a huge proponent of direct mail. And that direct mail doesn't mean that you send 5,000 postcards.
Right.
Direct mail might mean sending 20 people that are your key customers some chunky mail.
Mhm.
Or sending your really good customers, if it's a female, a bouquet of flowers. Or if it's a male, maybe it's something else. We send out novelty sacks to some of our key clients lately. And so I think that that's important is to know that digital marketing is only going to be so effective
Mm.
and that getting in person, getting to expos and conferences, going to chamber events, even on Zoom, even if you're like this, I mean, Tracy, you and I are here, we're interacting. I've never met you in person, but
Right.
I feel like I have because of how much interaction we've had,
Mhm.
even just through virtual means and remote means.
Yeah.
Um, but you have to just not rely on just the digital. That you
Mhm.
really need to find other ways to connect with people. And kind of on that also is building relationships. In fact, I was in a presentation just the other day, yesterday, I believe, and they were talking about sales and how the salespeople they did this study of salespeople who did a more transactional type of interactions, that they were going in and just trying to get the sale.
Right.
That in a short time, in the short frame, they obtained more sales than people that took a relational type of relationship type of method. But the ones that did the relationship method had longer term success
Right.
than the ones that were doing the short term transactional. So
Mhm.
I would say build relationships, regardless of what product or service you have.
Mhm.
Consider that everyone you have is someone that you're building a relationship with.
Yes. I 100% agree because if somebody cold DMs me, and I'm not saying whether that's right or wrong, I'm just telling you, if somebody cold DMs me and they launch immediately into a pitch, oh man, that turns me off
Oh yeah.
really fast.
Yep.
And Vicky, I don't know if I've ever shared this story with you. I have shared it with other people, but I had a woman cold DM me on Facebook in Messenger. I had no idea who she was. We weren't friends on Facebook. Like, I didn't even know were we part of a group together. Never heard of this woman. And she pitched me, just right away pitched me. And so, me being me, I thought, I'm going to pitch her back, right? Because if you pitch me, I'm going to pitch you back just as a matter of principle, right? And so I pitched her right back. And then she sent me a nasty message about doing that and then blocked me.
Oh my
So I'm
goodness.
like, "Do you even realize that that's what you did to me?"
Yeah.
Right? I don't think she even thought, "Oh, I just pitched this woman, have no idea who she is, but I just pitched her. So, turnabout." But anyhow, I feel like when people do that with me, it just turns me right off. So I hear what you're saying about the transactional, and it's gotta be a numbers game if you're just doing transactional, right? And probably relational as well, but numbers game, you gotta hit a lot, shotgun effect, throw a lot of reels out,
Yeah.
whatever it's all called. But you'd have to do a whole lot of numbers just to get 1 or 2 yeses.
Yeah.
And so just think about that, man.
Right.
Throwing all of those cold DMs out or emails or whatever. And I'm not saying I've never sent a cold email. I have. But
Sure.
anyhow, so
Yeah.
it just doesn't feel the same as if I know somebody actually cares about me. And, as an example, we've known each other for a while and collaborated on multiple things. You in this Oh Yes I Can group, and you've been part of like summits, and now you're doing our bump up, and so you and I've known each other for a while. I'm in your nonprofit consortium, and I'm just now talking to you mostly because of money. I'm just now talking to you about, hey, what would it cost for me to buy this from you, to have you do this for me?
Right.
And so we've built this relationship, and I trust you and I know the quality of your work because I see it in other ways. And
Yeah.
so to me, when you do relational marketing, it's about building that loyalty as well.
For sure. Yeah.
So that's just my 2 cents on transactional versus relational.
Right.
So
Right.
anyhow, that's
Yeah.
what I have to say.
Yeah. And I too, it was funny because I went to a networking function this morning. And I was talking with another gal, and this woman walked up, and she immediately said, "Hi, I'm Erica," whatever, that wasn't her name. And I this is what I do. I mean, she launched right into it, and and both the other gal and I were kind of looking at each other like, "Boy, that just didn't feel right, did it?"
Right.
And I thought, this poor gal hasn't been taught. She was younger, and
Right.
she hadn't been taught about how to approach people, and
Right.
how to not launch right into what I do, because nobody wants to be sold to.
Right.
But
Right.
they love to talk about themselves and tell you about what they do. So yeah. So again,
Exactly.
the whole thread now of email marketing, social media, is giving back and giving value, which is why I was so excited when you and I did our workshop together, and I have other workshops planned, because I want to give out value. And
Right.
so people may or may not decide to hire me, but if I'm giving value and somebody's walking away with a nugget of information that they can use, well, they may pass it on to someone else. They may think of me. They may think to refer me to someone else, even if it wasn't maybe appropriate for them. But we need to lead with giving value instead
Mhm.
of trying to sell to people.
You know what? I agree with that. And I think because you have been in the nonprofit world and I've been in the nonprofit world, like that's sort of our bent to help others. And, you talk about this young girl, woman who came and just immediately started, here's what I do, pitching herself, throwing herself out. My guess is if she has somebody, they may have coached her to do that, or maybe not. But I do know that there are business coaches that tell people to just go launch straight into it, and it is a numbers game. So but you are dead on when you say, and I can imagine the numbers when you go relational, I think it's got to be of more quality and more sustainable, if that makes sense.
Right,
So
right, right. And isn't that how we want people to perceive us? Is
yes.
more genuine, more caring, more relationship, more about the relationship than about the sale.
Right. I mean, that's how I want to be approached. I want to know that somebody cares about me, not just my checkbook.
Yep, for sure.
Okay. All right. Do you have anything else before we close out? Do you want to let our audience know how they can reach you, where you are on social, your website, all of that stuff?
Yeah. So, well, if you go to LinkedIn and you look up Vicky Winkler, you'll see all kinds of nuggets of information that we post 3 times a week. And my email is Vicky Vicky at TMS. That's T as in Tom, M as in Mary, S as in Sam. Marketing. You can always feel free to if you email me, go on our website and you can set up a brainstorm session, free. If you just have some marketing questions, some burning questions that you'd like to get on a 30-minute call with me, I'm more than happy to talk to anybody who needs any help with the marketing.
And I can tell you, if you were on LinkedIn, go find her, follow her, connect with her because she's got some great stuff that she's putting out, her and her team. So, Vicky, thank you so much for coming on to the Oh Yes I Can Women in Business podcast. I always enjoy my time with you. So, unless there's anything else, we will close out.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Tracy. Always a pleasure to spend time with you.
I love my time with you too, friend. Okay, everybody, we will see you next time. Bye.